Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about ChatGPT for Skyrim. A modder or toolmaker has introduced a mod that allows you to add lands to a companion. That means these lands are randomly generated by the AI, or supposedly randomly generated. They could be generated beforehand on the mod and then introduced as a mod, or they might be introduced live in real time. I'm not entirely sure exactly, but it's the idea I want to talk about, not the mod itself. Because the idea is a good one. The idea of having an AI just generate lines on the fly is brilliant. If you could tie it to the environment they're in, so like in Skyrim, you might be up a mountain and they start talking about how cold it is and these goats flying off cliffs because someone shouted them off, then it's even better. It starts having a bit of a link between where you are and what's happening. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's quite there yet. Also, I've noticed listening to it that the AI is generating the voice lines and they're doing it in the accent of the character that they've adopted. So, like Linda, I think it is. One of the examples I heard actually sounded like her. Although you could tell it was computer generated, it had that kind of slightly electronic sound about it that gives it away. But it was close, it was very close. So I think they did a good job there, considering this is just the early days of this kind of thing. Now, chatbots have been around for a while. It's only now that they've built up like enough knowledge to make them useful. Because AIs learn like we do. Over time, they get better and better and better. In a few years' time, the bots that we have will be light years ahead of what we've got now. It's just the way it works. Because AIs make those connections. You know, like for instance, brown and wood. And they associate them two together and they've got a tree. And now they know what a tree is. It's brown wood. You see, that's how it works. Voice lines and stuff like that are pretty much the same thing. So the more an AI knows about the game, the better the lines will be. Trouble is, are the lines pre-generated? If they are pre-generated, the way I understand it works is the mod maker uses free tools. And the free tools basically translate voice or text to voice, generate lip sync files and the audio file, and then plays it back in. So is it real time? Are they doing this in real time, or is it doing it like, you know, beforehand and then they just upload the results, you know, into the game? I'm guessing if it's a mod, it's probably the latter. If it's kind of a Skyrim SE affair, you know, that kind of works outside the game and injects its code into the game, then it probably be in real time. If it's in real time, then it's probably going to have lines, you know, saved to drive constantly as you talk to the NPC. There'll be a bit of a delay as the lines are being generated because it has to generate the lip sync file and everything else. But the lip sync file or the lip sync code is built into the editor. So unless they've actually got the code that Bethesda use and they've got that somehow externally, they'd have to do it in the editor. And if they're doing it in the editor, my guess is these are pre-generated. These have been generated before, you know, the game starts. So they aren't randomly generated on the spot. They're just created, you know, by the mod maker, thousands of lines at a time, and then gone. All he has to do really is make a file, a text file, fill it with lines of dialogue, and have his AI read them out one at a time to generate the lines in question. If the download is a massive download, for example, like it's a few gig in size, then chances are he's pre-generated the lines using that technique. That's not quite as clever as generating it in-game, but the game doesn't support it anyway, so you can't really hold it against him. But doing the actual lines externally in that manner is still an achievement in its own right. If you could generate lines, you know, just by typing dialogue, trust me, you'd save yourself a ton of time. I know I definitely would. I mean, if I was to make my mods in the future using this method, and we could use the same method he used to generate lines for any mod in any accent. And I mean, I've spoken about this before in my other AI videos. You could generate loads and loads of lines for mods instantly with no need for any voice actors anymore. Of course, the voice acting of a machine isn't going to be as good as a real person if they know what they're doing, but it'll always be better than a newbie trying to voice act in a game, as you all know. I might even give it a shot actually. I might give it a shot for some of my mods and see how it works. But anyway, the voice lines being generated in advance is still an achievement. That's the point. It does open up doors to other things. However, it will be a bit mundane if the AI is generating the text as well. I think if the AI is generating the text, because it can generate the text, it will never be exciting. It'll always be the middle ground of what it learned. I don't think AIs are going to pick up humour very well, for example. So it's going to get a little bit monotonous after a while. And this is the danger. Even for the artwork looks great at first, but after a while you start noticing it's all the same style. The AI has its own style, and it tends to produce a similar kind of images. At least it has for me so far. So with the text, it'll be a little bit like that. It'll be a little bit generic. You wouldn't want to use it for any main quests or anything like that, for example. You'd want to use your own lines. Also, when the AI is talking, it doesn't know when to add some excitement in its voice or some sadness in its voice and things like that. It tends to just sort of like just talk normally. So you don't get any emotions there either. But this is early days, as I said. It should get better over time. But yeah, it's quite exciting to see it. So I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully we'll see Bethesda making more progress with it once they get hold of the idea. And I'll see you in the next one.